Hello, everybody. Thanks for having me. So, coming out here, I thank you, Jessica, and thank you, Now Marketing, and I'm really excited to be here. Coming out here, I made this an adventure. I do live in Connecticut, and I have 3 children who are here in the front, and we've taken quite the adventure from Connecticut to Ohio. And I call it Lima, and I've been corrected, it's Lima, right? So, and I got it right in my video, actually. So I'm really excited to be here and talk to you about email marketing. It is one of my favorite tools, and it really is part of your social media landscape and strategy that a lot of times business owners forget about. How many of you are using email marketing in your regular marketing plan? Okay, so we have about a quarter of the room. And for those of you that aren't using email marketing, tell me why. Can somebody tell me why you're not using email for your business? You throw most of your email away. Okay, and why do you throw it away? Okay, and how come you throw it away? Is it something you didn't sign up for? You're just not interested in it? Time. Okay, fair enough. The average user gets 88 emails a day. 88 emails a day. I know I get a little bit more than that. How about you? That's just the average. All right, so understanding that you are going to leave here today ready to harness the power of the inbox, because I really believe that email can help you build your business. If I were to wave a magic wand, and I love social media, I met Jessica, I met a lot of the speakers today through social media, and it has done powerful things for my business and my clients. But if I waved a magic wand and social media went away tomorrow, how would I connect with that audience that I worked really hard to build? If I have 5,000 fans on my page and now I can't access Facebook, how am I going to connect with them? So you have to keep that in mind. When you're building your strategy, you should always be looking to build your email list. So some of the things we're going to talk about is why email marketing, some best practices, and really harnessing the power of the inbox, growing your contact list. We're going to talk about creating great content. And the best part about creating content is you can repurpose it across all of your social media channels, so you're not spinning your wheels and saying, oh, I have another thing to do. Who feels like that as a business owner? Another thing to do, right? And then we're going to talk about really mobile-friendly templates, because mobile-friendly is really important. And we're also going to talk about kind of the next steps in really looking at analytics, because analytics in everything that you do and everything that we talked about today, we can work really hard to put out great content, but if we never check our analytics, how do we know if we're doing a good job? All right, so let me ask you this question. What is the #1 mobile app that people use? Facebook, you think? It's email. I'm talking about email, guys, right? I gave it away. So email is the #1 app. More than half the people will check their email on their mobile app regularly. How many of you have used a mobile app today and checked your email? Okay, so 95% of the room has checked their email. And the interesting thing is that more people have a mobile phone than they actually have a toothbrush. It is. And actually, the statistic is 4 billion people have a toothbrush and 4.2 billion have a mobile phone. So you might want to sit back. There was mints outside, and make sure you cover your mouth. The other thing, the reason why email is great for your business is 91% of people check it every day. I know that I have an email, and I'm probably going to date myself, but I have an email address that I've had for 30 years. I have that email. I still check it. I send a lot of stuff that maybe I don't want to read every day there, but I check my email every day. 91% of people, and children, all the way down through, I believe my youngest, who is 9, has an email address with school. So it just tells you that email addresses are readily available. 88% of people check their email from a smartphone. 90% of email is delivered. So I'm talking about regular email. We have regular email that we send person to person, and then we have email where it's email software providers. So we're talking MailChimp, iContact, Aweber, Constant Contact. You have a higher deliverability rate than a one-off email if you're sending to a group of 10, 20 people, thousands of people. Your deliverability is about 90%. And email is really available everywhere. It works everywhere. People can use apps. They can use their desktop. We can go to computers and pick up webmail. So we can use it everywhere that we go for our business. And the ROI is 3 times the conversion of social media. Now, we've talked social media all day. We are here for Social Media Week. I love social media, but it's one of those things that works for us and drives business because why? Email marketing is about permission-based relationships. It is not about buying a list and emailing out to a bunch of people. Email marketing is about permission-based emailing, where you've captured permission to somebody that's interested in what you have to offer for your business. And in terms of an ROI, it's about $44.25 return on an email. Now, with anything, it takes time, so keep that in mind. It's not something where I'm going to set out an email and I'm going to get immediate gratification. You very well may. You're going to get responses from your audience, but you might not get a sale right away. And I like to use the example, this is better. I like to use the example, I have a client that I'm in a BNI group. Does everybody know what BNI is? Woohoo! Business Network International. And we talked about email, we used email, and he was using Constant Contact. They are a vendor that sells food to vending machines, so vending machine deliveries. And they had a very small list. They started with about 25 people. And what they did was they every month would send out an employee notice, like an employee of the month, a coffee of the month. And they said they were sending it, and then all of a sudden at BNI one day I got a testimonial. Had no idea what the testimonial was going to be. He said, stand up. Over a 6-month period, they had somebody on their list that was a prospect, somebody that had interest, had met with them on a regular basis, but they just hadn't bought for a sale. At the 6-month mark, they got an email from that person and said, hey, John, I want to meet with you. It turned into a $100,000 sale for the year. Because, why? Is it because of the email? Partly because of the email, because it helped them stay in touch with an interested audience. And that top-of-mind awareness for their business helped drive new sales. So keep that in mind. It does work. The big thing is you have to make a good first impression. It comes down to putting your best foot forward. So how many of us have gotten an email, you can't read it in your inbox, or it's a kind of a, looks like it's going to be an email marketing campaign, but you can't make it out to what it's going to look like. So first impressions are lasting. You want to always put your best foot forward with branding, with all of your information. It does matter, and you don't want to look like the wilted flower in the room. You want to look like the blooming bouquet, right? You want to stand out from your competition. You want to make sure that your impression is lasting to your audience. You want to be giving good content. You want to be giving good branding for your business. So looking at email, you have your traditional, and it's hard to see up here, but a traditional email here, and you have an email software provider here. And tell me, what do you think the significant difference is between the two? Color, branding, and what does it do visually to you? It's more appealing. So here we have a list of, it's hard to see, but we have email addresses. So the first thing I see, and I know this has happened to some of you, all of a sudden you get an email and everybody's email is shown. They didn't blind copy. Great, now everybody has my email address. So now that's a confidentiality issue. Over here on the right, the email is sent to thousands of people, but it's addressed to one. You're never compromising somebody's email address because it's confidentiality. The other thing, too, is that there's no branding consistency. So I can't tell if I looked at it quickly and I wasn't sure who it was from, who is that person it's from for branding? Who is it? I can't tell. Plus, we all can't. Can anybody read that? Because I can't. It's too small. All right. So when you start talking about kind of the differences, regular email doesn't work because it limits the formatting. So I do use, sometimes I will put an image and test it in a personal email and see how it looks on different email service providers. It never looks the same. It's never consistent. Always looks different. You have the blind copying issue. You have formatting issues. And the most important thing that you don't have on a regular email is analytics. How do we know that it was opened? We can send return receipt, but that doesn't make a difference because I could close that return receipt and that person's never going to know if I opened it. So using an email software allows you to track opens. It allows you to track click-throughs. It allows you to track who has shared your email, who's forwarded your email to a friend. So you have metrics to prove that it's working for your business. So a big difference. The other thing that it has is brand identity. Most email software providers, and I'm going to talk about the differences and kind of my opinion at the end of the different ones, is that they offer templates. So you don't have to be a graphic designer. You don't have to be a web designer. They're easy to use for you to build a professional presence on your business and send to email and have all these analytics and these tools at your fingertips. And the other thing is obey the law. There is really a canned spam law. Spam is bad. How many of you have been spammed before? All of us have been spammed. And canned spam really can actually tarnish your name. Can you imagine buying a list and or maybe we're here today networking, you grab a business card, and all of a sudden you go back to your desk, you're a week later, and all of a sudden you start getting emails from people that you met here. How does that feel? Doesn't feel good, right? They didn't ask your permission to join the list. And so you want to make sure that you're always asking explicit permission to people to join in your newsletter list. You never want to assume that you can take a business card and add them to your newsletter list. It is not presumed permission. The one thing I will tell you, the good news is your customers are presumed permission because you have a relationship. Because what is marketing about? Relationships. So you want to make sure that you're always putting your best foot forward, asking for the yes. If they say no, that's better for you in the long run because you don't want to be a spammer. I have a client that came to us. She was a publisher for a parents magazine, and her web designer would buy buckets of lists and send out mass emails to parents. Her URL did get blacklisted. So what that means is she could never send an email to her clients. People could not email her, and she had to fight to get her email, her URL off that blacklist because there really is a canned spam law. So it's not something that you just hear about, it actually does happen. So always ask for permission. All right, so how do we grow a list? What's the worst that they could say? No. How many, tell me, I want to hear from you guys. How do you ask for email addresses? Okay, great. And what does it say on there? Awesome. And how often do you email after they've signed up? Sure. Great. Great. Anyone else want to share how they collect email addresses? All right, great, great, awesome. So really the worst that could happen is they say no, right? The big thing is that business owners and organizations, we have to train our team from the top level down to be asking those questions because I know in my own team, if I don't tell them from the beginning about training and then practice what I preach, that I'm asking for an email address or that I have a sign up, it doesn't get done. So it has to be part of your business strategy and your practices to be asking. The one thing, when people first come onto your list, they're putting their hand up and saying, I'm interested. They might not be ready to buy, and you've heard it a few times today, 7 to 10 touches before someone makes a decision to buy most of the time. So, but when they sign up for your email, they are saying, hey, I'm interested. So now, as business owners and organizations, you have to act on that interest. So keep that in mind. Other ways to build your list is making sure you're getting explicit permission. So that's great that you have it as a sign up, and that's great that you're managing their expectations. The biggest thing that you can do is make sure that you're delivering on what you're promising to your audience. So for example, if I sign up for a newsletter and it tells me I'm going to get it monthly, I should only get it monthly. If you're going to change it, you want to communicate to your audience because why? It's customer service, it's relationships, and people do business with who they know, like, and trust. So at the end of the day, even if it's just, sometimes people are like, well, it's just an email address. Well, it's not. It's a way to an inbox. There's that confidentiality. They are taking that step to say, hey, we trust you with our email address. So make sure if you change it, you let them know. And the other thing, too, is make sure if you collect it, that you deliver that you're going to start sending emails regularly and be in touch with them regularly. Because they're excited. They're like, hey, what are they going to bring to me? They're going to give me coupons. They're going to give me good information. So explicit permission is key. Ask online everywhere that you are. So your website, your social media, everywhere you connect with your audience, you should be asking for an email address. Your business card. You can have text to join. You can have a QR code. I know that earlier Nate was talking about the QR code. You can have a QR code where somebody can join. On your website, this is where I see a lot of times businesses miss. They'll put it on their contact area, but they don't have it on every single page of their website. Why do you think you would need it on every single page of your website? Join my mail. Because Google, right? Somebody Googles the service and they come in on the About page, you want to make sure that they can at least take action and sign up for something if they don't sign up for your service right away. So keep that in mind. Every page of your website, everywhere you touch your audience, just like you're sharing about your social media. Hey, we're on Facebook, we're on Instagram. Share that and have people join your email list. So give them a reason to join. Keep in mind, they've stepped forward and said, I'm interested, but what are you offering them to keep them interested? Are you nurturing them? Are you giving them good content, good value? Is it automatic sales pitch? I can tell you that what happens the most is people sign up for something, and if you didn't deliver on those educational pieces that you've offered them, they're most likely to drop out of your list immediately. So make sure that you're offering them a tidbit of information. Maybe it's exclusive coupons, download to a white paper, an invitation to a webinar, just some different ways to capture lists. And keep in mind, the one nice thing about email marketing, it's very cost effective. It's super cost effective for you as a business and an organization. So content is key. And the reason people unsubscribe is irrelevant content. Have you ever signed up for something that is completely not what you thought? Exactly. I know that I like to use this example. You know the HGTV, they always do those dream houses. So I feel like every time I go and I put in my vote and sign up, I sign up for like every single thing for an extra piece. And then all of a sudden I start getting this irrelevant content that I'm not even interested in. It's almost a little bit spammy, right? But make sure that you're delivering on what you're promising your audience for content and what they're signing up for. So let's talk a little bit about content. You have the power of everything that you do every day and everything that you talk to within your audience. You have questions that are asked. You're sharing interesting information that's asked with your clients. And you know more than your audience knows at some level because you go to school for it. You train. You're here today educating yourself how to learn more about social media. Those are things that you can be offering to your audience in an email. You want to make sure that you're focusing on being relevant. So that means timely. I have seen where you have the ability to use what they call autoresponders. It helps with some marketing automation in your business. And I have seen autoresponders that have gone out to people after someone signed up and the information is no longer timely. So make sure that you're relevant to the current time frame that you're in with your audience. Also make sure that you're giving enough information and that you're not overdoing it because email marketing is not about writing a book. How many have opened up an email and gone, oh, this is way too long? The good news is you do not have to have a ton of content to make really good email marketing and have great open rates with your audience. So keep that in mind. And turn those questions into content. So write for your audience, not for you. So 38% unsubscribe if it's boring. And 32, send it to spam if it's irrelevant. So keep that in mind. And what that comes down to, there's many components in an email. You have your subject line, you have who it's from, and then you have your content. And before they even get to your content, how long do you think it takes to make a decision on whether or not your email is going to get opened? Seconds, 2 seconds. You're right on the money. It's 2 seconds before someone makes a decision whether or not they're going to open their email. And typically the most open rates happen in the first 24 hours. So if your email, you have something that's timely that's sent and it's not open within the first 24 hours, chances are it's going to dwindle off. So write for your audience, not for you. So what that means is ask your customers, ask your clients what they want to learn from you, what they want to hear from you. I think sometimes as business owners, we get so focused in what we're doing that we don't ever ask those questions of what people want to hear from us. Does anybody survey their clients regularly? 2 people? Surveying is one of those things where whenever I ask that question, I always see a very diminished hand count of who's surveying their clients. I would ask your clients for what kind of content they want to hear. Not only is that going to help you with your email marketing, it's going to help you with your Facebook content, your Instagram content, all of that content that you're doing in your business. So write for your audience and not for you. For example, I am a dog person. So if somebody sends me an email that's about my dog and it's offering tips on grooming, I have an Australian Shepherd puppy. It's my son's, who is not as, I guess I didn't realize she was going to be as furry as she was. So this kind of email would be great for me. I'm going to open it. It's interesting to me as a dog owner. So in your own business, there was somebody here that does car washes. You do car wash? Car wash, yes. So, for example, this time of year especially, you could be offering tips. I have tar on the side of my car from driving from Connecticut to Ohio. Dang it, Lima? No, I'm kidding. But look for ways that you can talk to your audience and bring content into it that's relevant and interesting. And keep in mind that less is more. It truly is. And the good news is you actually can count characters on how much text is enough for your business. So you have 20 lines of text or less. Email is a deliverable. It is not the place to tell your story. So what I mean by that is the best part about email marketing is driving organic search engine traffic back to your website. You should always have clickable links in your email, because what it's doing is Google likes that your website is being touched. It's saying, hey, this website has some activity. So you want to make sure that you're providing links back to your website. Now, for those of us, some of us are startups and we don't have that ability to update our website. You can use upload a PDF file and make it a clickable link so you have tracking results. You never ever want to send out an email that doesn't have clickable links in it. Because why? Does anybody know why? You can't track it. And analytics are important. Nothing is worse than spinning your wheels and nothing to be happening. So 20 lines of text or more. And for click-throughs, believe it or not, fewer links are better. One is optimal. So I have a client that I worked with that had over 150,000 email addresses, and every single week she would send out an email. She still does, sends out an email, and it would have a synopsis of the top social media blogs of the week. She was doing 5 blogs, so she was spending time curating content across the internet, sending out 5 blogs. So we started looking at our analytics, and what we found was 4 and 5 were barely getting clicked on. 5 never got clicked on, and 4 never got clicked on. So we took those out of her email, and her audience didn't really notice. Now she has 3 clickables, but the challenge is for her is that she feels like her email is too short. So she's lengthened the top of her email. So now what's happened is that number 3 barely gets clicked on, and 2 gets clicked on some of the time. So you really do want to monitor those links, but less is more. So that's good news for you. You just got time back in your day, right? You don't have to work so hard, and you can have a great email campaign for your business. So 1 click is the best, 2 is 3 is a steep decline, and 5 definitely has less. Why do you think that is? We're very indecisive. We're a very fast society. Everything is moving fast. Give me one choice, and I'm more likely to click on it. A case study done by Constant Contact 2 years ago on Mother's Day, they actually sent out 2 emails. One was had 4 choices of flowers, and another email that had 1 choice of a flower for Mother's Day. The one that had 1 choice, the email that was sent that had 1, had 42% higher conversion than the one that had 4. Too many choices. So keep that in mind. That works to your advantage as business owners. Less is more. And turn those questions into really ways to build content. So for example, if you have a question, how do I ensure my pipes won't burst this winter? 5 ways to protect your pipes. I'm sure if you are a plumber, you can quickly come up with 5 tips to give to your audience. And then you can take those 5 tips and parse them as posts for your social media. So now, boom, you just have great content for your audience. Sounds easy, doesn't it? And then you can use a scheduler to help you integrate that. The other thing is images. Images are super important. 90% of the brain processes visuals before anything else. Now, this isn't the greatest looking piece of chocolate. However, it does get perceived by the brain first. So what you're doing, and the best visuals that I recommend is telling your story. Take pictures, share your brand story, because just like on social media, people are more likely to engage with your images that are real, that they can relate to it. People don't have to touch and feel things anymore. They can see a good image and make a decision if they're interested in it. And I'm sure all of you, and I know Jessica talked about it earlier, people look at reviews and they look at images, and that visual content is super important in everything that we do. Did you know yesterday was National Selfie Day? Did all of you take selfies and post it? My kids are cringing. They're like, here she goes, those selfies. I bet you if you posted it on your business and you got your employees involved, you'd get more engagement on that than if you shared a post or an email about that frozen pipe tip. Because why? It's relationable. It's the same thing with email marketing. Use visuals to do that. Great visuals are key. Make sure you're looking at the right size. Christian mentioned Canva. Who's a Canva user here? Yay! So like 75% of you. Well, guess what? Canva has email header templates too. So you can create a nice header for your email right in Canva, using Canva as well. Another tool that I use is Big Stock Photo, free stock images. Also, I do have an opportunity to send you these slides, and I will send you links. I have 3 other free stock photo sites that are great tools as well. So you want to make sure that you're not using copyrighted images that are not yours. Getty Images will come and find you, I promise. And make sure that, I would encourage you to use as many as you can of your own, though. It does definitely help in telling your story. Make it sure that when you load an image that it's clickable into an email. So earlier I said have 1 to 2 clickable links in your email. Having a clickable image is different. So clickable links is in the text content of your email. All of your images should be clickable. And if you don't have, click them to your website, click them to your social media. Make sure that they're clickable because they are all trackable as well. Make sure that your call to action is above the scroll line. So what that means, if I'm sitting here and I get your email, I can immediately know what you're asking me to do. Your most important piece of content that you want to share should be right above the scroll line, and I should know immediately what you want me to do. If it's you want me to go to your Facebook page, you want me to read your blog, you want me to join an event, top and center. All right, so let's talk about mobile. And when you talk about mobile, whether you're using an email software provider or you're using, so there's tons of tools out there. There's free tools, there's paid tools. Single column templates are the most mobile friendly for your business. So keep that in mind. When you're looking at templates, single column are the best. Most email software providers will have mobile responsive, so if you hover over it, it's going to tell you if it's mobile friendly. And the big thing that you always want to do is test your emails. You never want to send your email to your audience without testing it first, and test it on mobile. People forget to test it on mobile because sometimes it looks completely different. It looks great in your inbox. However, when I look at it on my mobile phone, it looks terrible. So go single column and look for mobile responsive templates when you're looking. And just some types of templates. We have newsletters where you're going to share value-added content, maybe some updates for your business. You're going to share announcements and also promotions. Like an announcement could be about an event, like this event coming up. That would be your initial announcement. It could be an employee event that you're having or an employee that you want to talk about, an event in the community maybe. And then promotions. So every business is different in how you're going to use email marketing. But you do want to come up with a strategy and have a plan in place. So make sure if you're going to do a monthly newsletter that you give a view to your audience, let them know what to expect. And if you're going to change that up and offer a promotion here and again, let them know they might get more updates periodically. But there's all different choices, promotions, again, announcements, and newsletters. So of the people that are using email marketing, how many are using newsletters? Okay, so a handful. How many just use it for promotional products, like pushing out product information? All right, great. So every business is different. The key to knowing if you're successful is going to be looking at your analytics and your response from your audience. So some simple recipes for success: single column template, 3 images. Your logo is typically left or center. You never want to put it right. You want to make sure that there's contact information for your business on there. I have gotten emails where there's no contact information for the business. They just expecting people to reply. Keep in mind mobile. Put your phone number on there, put your website on there, put your social media on there. Make sure that people know how to connect. Fewer than 20 lines of text. And also, the biggest advantage of email is you can amplify it on social media. Make sure that you have simple share tools at the top where they can share your message on social media. And there's also usually an option for a web page link. You want to make sure that you have a URL so you could share it on social media if you wanted to, or if somebody can't see it in their browser. So 3 to 5 links, keep it more towards 1 to 3. And the other thing, too, is the action above the scroll line. So let's talk about getting email opened, because I'm getting close to time here. So give them 4 reasons to pay attention. You want your audience to have that FOMO, that fear of missing out. The millennials this morning, one of the girls said FOMO. Fear of missing out. That's why she goes back to these social media channels, and that's what you want from your email campaigns. People get to expect it at a certain time, and you want them to open it. So when you start thinking about it, it's recognizing the sender, making sure who it's from, making sure that the subject line is key. And I know all of us, I look for 40% off on certain stores. I never open their email unless it's 40% off. And I look for certain subjects that I'm looking for to grow my business and learn from. Make sure good timing as well as social options. So who sent it? This is one of those things where you want to make sure that your email is coming from the person who is most recognizable in your business. So my partner is my husband, Kevin. You would never know Kevin existed unless you worked with us directly, and even that only on certain services. So all of our emails come from Touching Clients, but my name. So they come from me. So in your organization, you want to make sure that it's coming from the most recognizable person. If it's your brand, then have it your brand. So I use Norwich Agway. We have Agway out in my neck of the woods. So Norwich Agway is who it's from on one of our emails. However, I have a client that has a sales team, and each member of their sales team, we copy the newsletter, and they get sent from each salesperson. Why? Because the relationship, it's about the relationship, and you want to make sure that they're opening your email. The other thing, too, is that you want to make sure branding-wise it's recognizable. One of the things that people sometimes forget is, I have a client that's at a gym, and she's very colorful, and I love Jolene to death. However, we have her template nice and branded, but I never know what it's going to look like when I get it back from her. She changes the colors all the time. You want to make sure that, so to know Jolene, you would know she's very colorful. However, as a new prospect, you wouldn't necessarily know that. So branding is important. Everything should be the same and consistent across all channels. The other thing, too, is try to stay away from member at email address, info at email address. Try to use a personal email address with a URL, because we have Gmail that puts it in promotions folders. We have SaneBox that will automatically say this is an email newsletter. So really look to use a familiar email address. So 1/3 of people open email based on subject line. How many of you would say that? It's true. Absolutely. So you really do want to think outside of the box. So the one thing that I always recommend is do your email subject line first and then last. First, because typically when you're using an email software provider and you're using templates, you're copying the template over. So you could have last month's subject line. That would be bad. And the reason I do it last is because sometimes I write content and then I change my direction a little bit, and now I need to change the subject line. So I want to make sure that I'm getting the most optimal subject line so my audience is going to want to open it. Make sure it's worth reading. You want to make sure that they are going to be interested, be clear, be clever, think outside of the box. Have fun with your subject line. Don't stress about it. The more you stress about it, the more likely you're going to have the subject line that no one's going to open. No. What I want you to do is think about it from a word count, too, is that 4 to 7 words, 6 to 10 is kind of the max on your subject line. Because what happens is when they get it in their inbox, they're not always going to be able to see the whole piece of that subject line. So size matters, keeps it short, 30 to 40 characters, 6 to 10 words max on your subject line. And there is also what we call a pre-header text on email templates now. Has anybody used a pre-header text? That is a secondary subject line for mobile phones. So it's like bonus subject line to get your email opened. So it gives you an opportunity to actually put some more words into your subject line to make sure that it's open. Words you want to stay away from are free, guarantee, too much punctuation, all bolds. I know we get excited about things and we're like, hey, open this now. And that can be perceived as spam, not only by your audience, but also by your like Gmail or Comcast, your email provider. So that'll automatically put it in there. All right, I'm finishing up. Timing, when to send. I would highly recommend that you test when is a good time. Typically Tuesdays and Thursdays are the best day. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday between 10 and 3. And that's historical across all types of businesses and industries. And the best thing to do is do separate lists and time test your emails and find out the best. I see some people that have great results at 7 a.m. I have some that have great results at 3 p.m. on a Friday. So it really depends on your business. The big thing is be consistent. When you find that day and week, day and time, do last Thursday of the month, send it out the same time every week. People get to expect it. And it's interesting, and I don't know if any of you follow Mari Smith on the social media side or Steve Dotto, John Loomer. When they get inconsistent, because I'm on their email, I notice I didn't get it. I'm like, wait a minute, I didn't get the social scoop today. It's 10 o'clock in the morning. It comes at 9. So people get to know when it's going to be sent and when to expect it. Analytics is really kind of the big thing that you want to use for your business. You get to track open rates, you get to track click-through rates, and I highly encourage you that if you're going to use email, the best part about it is make time for those analytics. Just like your Facebook Insights, you need to be tracking those tools because if you don't track them, you're never going to be successful. You're not going to know what's working. How many have Google Analytics on their website? Okay, so Google Analytics is a free tool that will tell you where your traffic is coming from, what page they landed on, social media that they came from. It's the same thing with email marketing. You can actually have Google Analytics attached to your email marketing and use that as trackable results, so keep that in mind. And kind of putting it all together, the ideal email, subject line, I seriously would try to keep it 4 to 7 words. If you can keep it into 4 to 7 words, your subject line will be seen by your audience. Pre-header text, make sure your logo is left and center and clickable, and also make sure that your call to action is above the scroll line. So you want people to sign up, make sure it's above the scroll line. And now this sample, this actually, if I were to send it to you, the sign up is above the scroll line, but it was hard to get it on one screen. And make sure that you're only using 1 to 2 links in your email, and all your images are clickable. Your social media is there. Also, your contact information is key. And quickly on tools. So I get the question, how many use MailChimp here? Okay, great. So MailChimp is a great tool. It's free up to the first 2,000 users. I have a lot of clients that use it. It does come with templates. It's pretty easy to use. My experience has been the biggest challenges that I have with MailChimp is lists. It doesn't determine if you send out an email to a group of people unless you are exporting your Excel, cleaning it, and deduping it, it doesn't decipher between deduping. So you can send multiple emails to one email address. That's a challenge, and they're on chat, so you don't really get a customer service rep all the time. How many of you use Constant Contact? Okay, Constant Contact, great tool, has 700 plus templates. You can, it also has real person on the phone. That's their biggest advantage over other email service providers is you actually get somebody on the phone that will fix your problem for you and not have to go to a chat menu. Aweber, any Aweber users? All right, great. Aweber has some great automation pieces to it. It is a little bit more costly on the email marketing side than some of the other providers. They do have great templates. Their customer service is good. They are on Pacific Standard Time, so if you're on East Coast, there's a little bit of delay in the morning, but I like them as well. iContact and GetResponse are another tools, and So kind of deliverability rate, MailChimp, Aweber, and Constant Contact are about the same. They're about 96 deliverability rate to your audience. So when you're looking to get your email into the inbox, those are good choices. And then kind of from there, the next step up would be like an Infusionsoft marketing automation, where you can actually automate your sales processes and have things go through a sales funnel where one thing's talking to another, and it lessens your work of having to resend out email after email. So it does help. All right, my friends, I am done. What kind of questions do you have? Like quickly, I'm sorry. Any questions? No? All right. Thank you. I appreciate it.